Hey guys, welcome to the live. So you're on Burr Cashflow Investors. If you're not a part of the group yet, make sure that you join so that you get these every single week. We do these 3 times a week on Mondays and on Wednesdays. We kind of cover a bunch of Q&A sort of thing, and then on Fridays we try to do a story, a lesson, something that we learned in terms of investing, something that hopefully you can get out of it on Fridays. So today it is Friday, and today it is all about it's kind of a story of going back in the past. What was the lessons learned? And sometimes it's my mistakes, sometimes it's a learning lesson, sometimes it's somebody from mastery that we pick a lesson from. And the whole idea of that is that, guys, life is about our experiences, right? Who we are today is all based on our experiences and based on our pasts. So that's kind of what we try to do on Fridays. So having said that, before we jump right into it, there are a couple of really important meetings coming up. And one of them happens to be inside the banker's mind. And this is Meet Our Lenders meeting. So some of these lenders we never bring out. And especially one of our bankers that is a president of a local bank that we have done tons of portfolio loans with. And so we're going to have him as a special guest. This is going to be on January the 11th, 6:30 p.m. And make sure that you attend. So make sure that you're either online or you make it to the office and you're here in person. So it's called Inside the Banker's Mind. And then there's vendors showcase. There's a bunch of different things that are coming up. Keep an eye out for that. So having said that, I want to kind of go back because it's obviously the new year. Hopefully everybody had a good Merry Christmas, and then you had a great new year. And it's the start, right, of the new year. So the question becomes is, what are your plans and what are you going to do differently this year than last year? And I'm not a big believer. I agree with writing goals down, and I agree you have to have a goal. It's important. You have to have a focus, but there are different types of people. And some people are, okay, I'm going to have a goal and I'm going to basically focus on it. And that's how they do it. I am kind of a little different. For me, the formula that works the best is I speak it into existence, right? Which what I mean by that is, a lot of times, right, whether it's a new business venture, whether if it's an airplane I want to buy, whether it's whatever it is, right, I start working towards it and then I start talking about it. I start telling anybody and everybody, right, that, hey man, this is what I'm going to work on. I don't know how we're going to get there, but we're going to get there, right? We're going to get there. We're going to get there. And a lot of it I genuinely believe, right? And this is the difference. And this is something I'm not very proud of, but I would like to admit that at one time in my life I was so insecure that I would bullshit about it, right? That I have something that I did not have. Not proud of myself, but I was that insecure. And you know what I realized? When I see that today in people, when somebody BS's me, I hate it. And I hate it with a passion, not because of what they're saying, because I see me in them, right? Sometimes when you see your own things you were not proud about yourself, and you see in somebody else, you don't like it, right? And so whenever somebody basically is looking me in the eye and they're lying effectively or BS, it pisses me off. It pisses me off because not because of them, but because of me. And what I've learned over the years is this, that if somebody's BSing you, a lot of times this happens if it's with your parents, happens with other people. They may not call you on your shit, but they know it. A lot of times, especially people who are smart, they know it. They may not say anything, but you know what you're doing is you're insulting their intelligence. You're genuinely insulting their intelligence. And I know you're doing it as a self-protection mechanism, right? I know it because I've done it. I'm not proud of it, but I'm just telling you. And you know what I realized was this, that everybody will get on board if you have big dreams and big goals and you say, hey man, I'm working towards it, right? Because see, everybody wants to be on the side of a winner. everybody wants to be on the side of a train that is going somewhere, right? Nobody wants to be on the train that's going nowhere. And rather than trying to BS, a great strategy is that, hey, I'm going to do this. I'm going to achieve this. We're working on this. Like this year for us as a business, there are a couple of things that that our goal is. The next goal is that how do we basically go national, keep the profitability that we have in terms of the events that we do, in terms of the cash flow, kind of the seminars that we do, that we teach that. How do we go national? How do we grow? How do we build scale? And the goal is that from about $4.5 to $5 million of business that we do on that side, how do we double that, and how do we do it in 1 year? Now, do I know exactly how to do it? Absolutely not, right? But then 2 years ago, I did not know how to build brand new houses. We built 100 some of them in Florida. And guess what? We spoke that into existence, meaning we didn't just BS. We didn't say one thing and do one thing. We started working towards that. And guess what happens? As you start working towards that, you go through the struggles. People see that. People get to experience that with you. And now you're not saying something that you're not congruent. You're congruent, right? For that, for the growth, we're trying to cause it to happen. So I want to buy just as many properties in the Chicago market. I want people in Mastery to start doubling down and start going off market. That is our commitment. That is my commitment to me for my own business. And that is the commitment that we're making to Mastery. And we want to expand the business. So those are kind of three different goals in three different categories. Properties I buy, those are for my investments, right? Like we all need to put away more and more and more money, right? At this point, for me, it's not enough to buy a certain amount of properties. Every year, I have a goal that I need to get to the next level. And it's not because I want more. It's just because I know it's possible. Somebody once said, hey, why do you climb a mountain? And I'd been literally said, well, because it's there. And it's there. What I mean by that is because I feel it is possible. Right? If I didn't buy another house, it will be okay. But I believe I cannot expect you and expect everybody in Mastery to grow if I don't keep growing, right? And I don't want to be the person that quote unquote does seminars and does not live their own message. One thing I take pride in is if I am saying something, I live that message. Right? I'm not going to say something, oh, you should do this, and me not do it. That would not be congruent. And as we look at that, and the reason why this kind of came to my mind was what I see this a lot of times, that beginning of the year, everybody starts setting goals, right? Or you come to the end and start setting goals, right? If you don't have a goal, then how do you know what you're going to achieve? And that's something that for some reason, for me, hasn't worked. Right? And not that, but I am clear. I am 100% clear, but yet for a lot of times, I don't really like to write that down. What I tend to do, right? Like if you go into my office, you see the front wall that's right in front of me. There's a big jet over there, right? Because I want to buy a bigger airplane. I already have one. It's actually pretty adequate for what my needs are right now. But I have always had a thing in my mind that I can afford even a bigger jet. And this year, I'm not going to buy it. For sure, I'm not going to buy it. Not because of the money, but I'm not going to buy it because I'm going to get distracted. Because if I buy a bigger airplane, I want to fly it, right? I don't want to just basically have one, put it on charter, and have two pilots fly it. That's not what I want. I want it because I'll put another full-time pilot on payroll, and I want to be able to fly it. The pure joy of it is, but it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of commitment, which this year, I'm not willing to put that in for that. So next year, maybe, but that's one of my goals, right? Another of my goals is that we want to expand Mastery. So what I've done always is I go and look at things, right? I still remember I used to go at one time in my life, and I used to sit outside the Rolls-Royce dealership and at night, not even in the day, because in the day I was like, oh my God, they're going to look at me staring at these expensive cars. I can't even afford, there's no way I can afford $1,000 on my credit card. Forget about buying a $4,000 car, right? So but I was so intimidated. But I used to go literally every day, go get a sandwich at night and sit there, and I used to try to calculate how much do you have to make to be able to afford a car that costs $400,000? And I could never understand the math behind that, because I'm like, man, I don't know. Maybe I could buy a used one, right? Then I was like, well, maybe I can buy a used Mercedes. This was kind of how, and then it's interesting that so many of those types of things, be it a airplane, be it a car, be it other achievements that I always wanted to do, I was good at visualizing, right? I mean, literally, I remember I used to have a Mazda 627, 626, or whatever it was called, and paint was kind of worn off a little bit and that sort of thing. And I used to, every time I'd be driving home, I used to picture it, right? At the time, a Jaguar was a nice car. So I used to picture it all the time, that one day it's going to be that Jaguar emblem at the front of the car. Then it's going to turn into a Mercedes. Then it's going to turn into a Rolls Royce. And I swear to God, guess what happened? That's exactly what happened, right? I genuinely believe that if you visualize that in your mind's eye, right, that things happen because you program yourself over and over and over. And there's, whether you study the Bible, whether you look at the Gita, whether you look at the Quran, right, all of these different religious texts, different religious teachings talk about the same thing, right? It's you speak that into existence, right? If somebody says, hey, I am just this way, and they keep repeating that to themselves all the time, all the time, all the time, subconsciously, what tends to happen is that tends to happen, right? I mean, I always used to be, so if you look at the pictures of me, say 5 years ago, 8 years ago, I mean, I look like a Teletubby. I mean, that's what I look like, right? I look like a Teletubby. I'm not saying today I look 10 times more handsome, but I'm certainly much slimmer than I was, say, 4, 5, 6 years ago. And now I still can lose a little bit weight. I still can get in a little bit better shape. But when I would look at my own pictures, right, from the 3-day, I'm like, oh my God, I can't even believe anybody even sits through these meetings looking like the way I do, meaning I did not like my self-image when I looked at it, because I was like, I expect better from myself. Now, has that changed like that? Can it be done in 6 months? Sure. I didn't have that much extra weight, so it could be done in 6 months for sure to get in great shape. But yet what is happening is that I believe the more and more and more you visualize of what you want to achieve, and it may be for you, it may be a great family, it may be great kids, it may be other different things, right? Till this point in my life, I was so focused on whatever the heck I wanted to do. A lot of things like family, like other things, I ignored. Now, suddenly, I started realizing last year, hey, in a lot of other parts of my life, I think I've done pretty decent, right? I haven't achieved my goals, but if I don't start paying attention to that part of my life, I'm going to get left behind. That I'm not going to be able to, that part of my life is not going to be able to work. And the reason I bring all of this up is because it was interesting that this new year, I was reminded of the fact that I always had this idea. It was, one day I'll be able to travel, one day I'll be able to do this, one day I'll be able to do that, all those types of things. And what used to happen was that as the holidays used to approach, I used to start getting very depressed. I used to be depressed because I used to always feel that, oh my God, I couldn't afford nicer Christmas gifts or nice things that everybody would be spending a lot of money towards after Thanksgiving, towards Christmas. They're spending time with their family, all those types of things. And I always used to feel that, hey, I'm being left behind, or I am behind compared to everybody else. And then when I started making a little bit of money, this was even worse. That when I did start making a little bit of money, maybe I could afford different things. As the end of the year would approach, I would start feeling very, very scared, because I'm like, man, how am I going to work next year just as hard as I did this year, right? And every year you're 24, then you're 25, then 26, 27, 28. And every year, even though I was making a little bit more money, what was happening was my bank balance was not necessarily going up. Meaning, yeah, maybe rather than having 1,000 or two or four, maybe I had an extra 10,000 in savings, so 20,000 in savings, right? And I was so scared at the time. And you can ask anybody from Remax Central on Rosal Road. This is no lie. I would not cash the commission checks, and I would put them on the wall, one after the other. And it used to irritate the office accounting, because they're like, hey, we gave you a check and you haven't even cashed it. And it would irritate other agents because they thought I was trying to show off. I was not trying to show off to them that, look how many checks I have that I haven't cashed. It was security. Every morning I'd come in the office, and if I have 10 checks, and I would add them up, and I'm like, okay, now I have maybe 18,000 or 20,000, 30,000. And because I was so afraid of depositing them in my account. So and my deal was, hey, maybe I was able to save 6 months worth of checks. That meant I had that savings. I had that money that was my security, right? And I did that for a few years because I was so scared, right? I mean, and it's incredible to admit this, but literally, I genuinely feel from the time I was maybe 15, 16 years old or 17 years old when I came back to the United States till now, right? I have operated out of a scarcity mindset. May not come across like that to you, but I can tell you, I promise you, right, that if you were in my mind, you would realize I have operated out of a scarcity mindset. And my goal and my commitment to myself this year is that we're going to change that. We're going to change that. A lot of people from the outside may look at it like, man, you're not scared. I'm like, I'm the most scared person that there is. I may not act that way, but believe me, it is tough for me to do a lot of things. Whenever I bought the first Mercedes, I bought a brand new car, right? I was scared because I'm like, oh my God, I don't know if I can afford the payments or not, right? Even though I paid it off in a year and a half, I didn't know. I was afraid. Then I bought the second one. Then I was afraid. Then I bought a nicer car. I was afraid. When I bought the Rolls, I'm like, what are you doing, right? Who buys a car with a $3,000 or $4,000, $5,000 payment a month, right? That is just crazy. It makes no sense. But yet it was every time. And somebody asked me the other day, man, how does it feel to buy your own airplane and be able to fly it? I'm like, the feeling is amazing. But if you honestly asked me, for the longest time, I was scared. Am I going to be able to make the payments? It's not like I didn't have the money. The payments were actually pretty cheap, right? It wasn't the expense of the payment for the airplane wasn't expensive. Maintenance is a whole different issue, right? That's a whole different issue. Like with the smaller airplane, it used to cost me $70,000, $80,000 a year with the smaller airplane. This thing cost me about $250,000 a year just to be able to, in terms of payments, in terms of upkeep, in terms of fuel, all that kind of stuff, right? Minimum $250,000. That's just how it is, right? If I buy something bigger, and if I just keep it and I don't charter it out, then it's going to cost me about $500,000 a year just to have the luxury of owning an airplane, right? And the reason I bring that up is that every single time, I have been scared. And I've been scared all these years. And maybe I haven't taken the bigger risks like some other people take. That doesn't mean I haven't taken risks, but I've always tried to take, even though I thought it was a quantum leap for me, right? I have always operated out of being scared. And I've been scared of, oh my God, what if what I have, I won't have tomorrow? What if I can't make a payment? What if, now that has never happened. It's not that I tend to be very conservative. All the real estate I buy, I tend not to put big loans on it. Whenever every 3, 4, 5 months, I'm out of money, right? And I'm out of money not because I spent it, it's because I bought too much real estate with it, right? I'm buying and buying and buying because I don't want to put a lot of debt on things, right? And so a lot of times, if I'm buying a property, even though I can easily refinance 300, 340, 350 out of it, I'm going to only put a debt on it for 250. Right? And if you do that on property after property after property after property, a lot of your liquidity gets sucked up in all of these properties. And yet, still, I, for me, have operated out of scarcity. And I am where I am in my business. You are where you are in your business 99% of times because you choose to be there, right? A lot of times people, when they look at my business from the outside, if you don't know me very well, they're like, oh my God, Andrew has discipline. I have zero discipline. I mean, and I mean it 100%. And why do I admit it? I'm not saying that. Now, that does that mean that I don't live my message? That's not the case. But necessarily waking up in the morning on time, going to sleep on time, a lot of other things that which are very simple for most people. They're not the most simple things for me. I have a very, very hard time with a lot of things like that. And yet this year, I said, I'm going to start committing because this year we want to grow to the next level. And we said, we're going to hire 2, 3, 4 positions even before we have the business on that side of it. Now, can I justify it financially? Yes, I can afford it financially, of course. But do we have the business to support that much of a staff in terms of social media, in terms of YouTube, in terms of kind of the what we're trying to add to what we do right now? Whatever comes to my mind, I do in terms of social media, in terms of YouTube, in terms of whatever. Does it work? Yeah, it works. It works only because of one reason. Why? Because we're honest about what we do, right? Because we have a huge presence with Mastery in the Chicago market. Yet it doesn't work because we are good, right? It works just because we're willing to work our butt off. But if we put the right team in place, right? Now, for that, I have to commit to a few $100,000 worth of a budget even before I know if I'm going to get a penny in return. But this is no different than when I went and started the radio show. That was a commitment at that time of $60,000, $70,000 a year. And all I was doing at that particular time was I was doing flips, and I had a few rentals, relatively very, very, very few rentals at that time. My goal was at that time to be able to get to 20, 25, 30 rentals. And I didn't have that many rentals. And a bunch of people asked me at the time, hey man, this sort of a thing to do, it's going to cost you $60,000, $70,000. What are you going to do with it? What's the goal? I'm like, I don't know, man. I am passionate about what I do. And so I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to find somehow this is going to turn into dollars. I have no idea how. I mean, I had no clue how that was going to result into anything. And even with all the events, the seminars, for the first 2, 3 years, I made no money. I mean, zero. Each year the revenue would go up, and I was making zero money. If really anybody, kind of sees the business. Yet what people see is they see the last 10, 12 years worth of work, right? And then they're like, oh my God, right? That business makes Andrew millions. Well, it should. It better, right? It's a business, because for a long period of time, it made zero. Why? Because it may look like, oh my God, we did a big event. There were at that time, right? If we had 125, 130 people, 140 people, it was like, oh my God, that was pretty good. The room looked kind of full, right? But yet it didn't make any money as such, right? Meaning that did we have a lot of revenue coming in? Sure, right? But did it actually make money as such? No. Was I going broke because of it? No. But it would barely break even if you take all the expenses into account that go along with a business, right? It was breaking even. And I say that all of it to say this, that it doesn't matter if it's you, it doesn't matter if it's me. Like for us this year, the commitment is that when we bought this building last year, the deal was, what the heck are we going to do with it? Right? It's about a 15,000 square foot building. There's another 15,000 square feet downstairs with about 21 car garage. There's a bunch of things. So what are we going to do with it? Then we're like, okay, we got to put a gym. Now we put a sauna. Now we have a full-time plumber downstairs. Upstairs here, we have Gina. We have Fidelity. We have, Patrick's office. All the people that tie into our real estate business. Yet now, suddenly we realize in a year that we're running out of space. We have some space left, but if we truly want to grow this year, we are not going to probably be able to fit. Because if I want to hire another 20, 30 people, a team for outbound calling, a team for inbound calling, a division that purely handles the properties that I need rehab, a couple people that handle all the inbound properties that are coming in that are pending contract. Now we need to run the business like three different businesses. It can't just be me basically juggling a bunch of things, because that's the next level of growth. I'm sick and tired of where we are. And I'm sick and tired because I feel we as a team of people, right, have the potential to take it to the next level. And so now as we try to grow, so we used to be all these years, since 2008 till today, we're a real estate company that happens to do real estate seminars and events, something like this, right? That happens to do real estate seminars and events. Real estate seminars and events is not the main business for me. That is in addition, because number one, I have a passion for it. I believe in what I do. And number two, it's been the biggest blessing ever, because I'm a misfit when it comes to most things, meaning I don't really have a lot of relatability to most people because I'm not interested in most things. I understand real estate and I like airplanes, right? That's it. So being very social, I'm not the most social human being. That's just how I'm built. I was always that way. And so, but because of real estate, it has given meaning to my life, right? Meaning, like I wasn't clinically depressed, but I always felt that I was lonely because I couldn't connect with people on a lot of other things, because I felt that I used to, for the longest time, attach my only value with how much money I had. And I'm just giving you where I came from, right? And not the right way to be. That means you're poor self-esteem, but that was just how it was, right? So I used real estate as a way of becoming a real estate agent, and then gradually getting into investing, then scaling up with the whole thing. I used that ladder to be able to build another business, which is I have a passion for, kind of, because if I have a problem, that means a lot of other people have the same problem. That's what I believe, that human problems are kind of the same, that we all want to be healthy, we all want to have good relationships, we all want to have we all want to do well financially. At some point we want peace of mind, right? There are 4 or 5 things that most people want, right? And for me, the biggest thing was, well, okay, I am broke, I don't have any money. So when you're 19, 20, 21, 25, 28, that's all you think, that, hey, man, I want to be rich, I want to do well for myself, right? And now the issue is, how do we scale this? How do we grow this? Because probably one of the best things today for me is, when am I the happiest? I'm happiest whenever I'm doing the 3-day. Now, does it come with stress? Absolutely. But I'm the happiest when we have a panel of people on stage that in the last year, 2, 4, 5, 6 years that I've known them, they've gone from here to here in terms of their finances, right? I was the guy that needed the financial help, right? I was the guy that kind of needed a hand out, or a hand up, I should say, right? Yet today, we're able to give other people a hand up. We're able to help them in their journey of real estate, to use real estate as a vehicle to take their business, to take their lives, to take their family's finances to the next level. And knowing that all of these people come to the 3-day, they come there, they support us, they're a part of the team, they're volunteers, right? They are our friends, they have goodwill for our business. And in some way, we were able to contribute, maybe encourage, maybe coach them, maybe guide them into the next level of growth. Now, it's not just me taking, it's not just me trying to make money. It's that I feel secure enough that in some way, through our example, we can give back, right? And it's not based on, so if somebody comes to a 3-day, number one, I'm humbled that so many people show up, because really, how many intelligent thoughts can I have? Most human beings cannot have more than 3 or 4 intelligent thoughts in a lifetime. And so I feel very humbled that so many people show up, so many people stick around. They adopt some of the ideas and some of the thoughts, some of the thinking process that we try to share, and they take those and change their own lives, right? And I wanted to share that because as the beginning of the year starts, you guys will see that, because that is a commitment that I have made to myself. I owe that to Lori. I owe that to Gina. I owe that to everybody that is a part today of the business that we have. That if I don't force the growth, guess what? I'm letting everybody that is associated with our business, I'm letting everybody down. Because the only way everybody has an opportunity to make more money, to expand their businesses, to grow, is if we force the growth on us. Because it's kind of starts with the leadership inside. And if we start elevating our standards, if we say, hey, listen, being where we are is just not good enough. We got to up our game. So now we got to up our game in terms of what we do in terms of fulfillment for mastery. We got to up our game in terms of how do we serve people who come to mastery better. What can we do to make it a better experience for every single person that comes to a 3-day, right? As you can imagine, if you have 600, 700 people come to a 3-day, right? There is probably 2, 3, 4 people that are, oh, I already know everything that Andrew talked about. Why am I even here? I already know everything. Now, mind you, that's possible. And if you have way more accomplishments in real estate than we do, God bless you. I am sorry that you showed up and we didn't live up to your expectations. But guess what? We do an exit survey. So after people leave the 3-day, we have somebody, an assistant that basically picks up the phone, calls, tries to reach people. Hey, how did you like the 3-day? What did you like about it? What did you not like about it? Because we want some feedback as to what can we do to serve the people that showed up at the 3-day at a higher level. What can we do to up our game? This time, our goal is going to be in February is that what do we do for each and every session? How do we make those sessions tighter? Can we deliver more value? Because see, if I just gave all the information away, what most people feel, oh my God, I got a lot. But then again, if it's not an actionable item, then is it worth it for you to spend 3 days with us? This is our job as a business to look at what we do and say, okay, how do we get higher results? How do we get more people more inspired? How do we get them more focused so that when they spend time with us, they not only have a great time, but they take away some value. And it doesn't have to be that they join mastery. But did they take away enough value? Did we create the environment for them that was good enough? Or that was an amazing experience where they went away and they said, oh my God, I learned and it made a long-term impact, right? That is our job as a business, because for every person that shows up at the 3-day, whether it is people who are just regular attendees, whether you show up as a VIP, or whether you are a part of our mastery family, our job is to take you and basically make you feel that itch that, oh my God, I need to take my business to the next level. If we're not able to do that, if somewhere we fail, then I have failed in my job. Because otherwise, what I'm doing is I am wasting the time that you spent. And once in a while, we'll get feedback from people that says, oh, yeah, I already knew everything. And I personally take it very, very personally. Why? Because it's my life's work. It doesn't matter if 500 people said it was great, we've had it, amazing time, blah, 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 whatever. But yet, guess what? If one person says that, and guys, listen, it's going to happen. You have 100 people are going to have 100 different opinions, right? I can't please everybody all the time. It's impossible to do. Yet, our job as a business is that what can we do to up our game? And that is our goal this year, is that we want to expand, we want to grow, we want to take it to the next level. But I bring all of that up because I was listening to something the other day and they were talking about goal setting. They were talking about writing your goals down, all that kind of stuff. I've done all of that. Yet what actually works the best for me is visualizing me being, pretending almost in flying. We call it chair flying, which is what that means is that you get on a chair and you are visualizing in your mind, okay, what is the checklist that I'm going to have to go through when I start the airplane? What is the engine initiation sequence? What are all the checklists that I have to go through? And the more you do chair flying, it's called, right, the better you're going to be when you're performing a task in the airplane, because it is no joke, because that thing can kill you, right? And it doesn't matter. You ask any pilot, you ask the Blue Angels, right? What do? Before every single day, when they show up, they report to duty. For an hour, with the boss, the air boss, they will go through what is called an exercise, which is chair flying. Every single maneuver all of them, they close their eyes and they repeat it over and over and over. And what I found for me is that if you call it visualization, if it's called dream building, if it's whatever you want to call it, right? I've always been extremely visual. So for me, if I like a nice house, if I like an airplane, whatever, I will expose myself over and over and over to the extent that it bothers me. Now, if I go to the airport and I see a nice, big, beautiful airplane, and I'm like, oh my God, right? That is where we need to be. The exciting part about that is not the airplane, because by the time I actually buy the next one, probably I will want the bigger one. But yet, who do we become? How many people do we have to serve? What do we have to do in our business to provide a great and exceptional service so that more people show up, so the business revenue is bigger, and the needs of the business basically force us to say, you know something, we can justify a bigger investment in a bigger aircraft as a business, and now it makes sense. And I say all of that because a lot of times I think just writing the goals down is not enough. You got to visualize it, and then you got to speak it into existence. And this is funny because Lori caught this pattern that I have, because I've been talking about running out of space, running out of space, running out of space. Are we out of space yet? No, we're not out of space, right? We have another maybe 14, 15, 1,800 square feet here, some more space on the other side, right? But yet, as soon as I start talking about it, guess what will happen? We will run out of space. And then the goal has always been is that it's like, okay, well, maybe we have so little space that we have to buy the building next door, right? That would be exciting to be able to have one building just for 2 or 3 events that are simultaneously going at one time. And this is something we're going to make it happen. I have no idea how, but it's exciting because if you come here on the weekend today, right, the whole parking lot is full, right? The neighbors look at us like, what the heck? Because everybody from Mastery is here, or people are here for RIA meetings. But now we have Mastery going this year. The goal is we want to get some sort of a mastermind going, that you can't even go to mastermind unless you've been through Mastery, which is that you have to qualify at a certain level. You need to have $10, $12, $15,000 worth of income, cash flow coming in every single month before you can take your business to the next level. Because there, we're not talking about how do you do a calculation of cash flow, right? There, we expect you to raise your bar to the next level up. But guess what? To have that customer base come in, or to elevate people that are currently in Mastery to the next level, I have to elevate my game, right? So my question to you is, where are you? And if you are where you are, you may want to take inventory. You are exactly where you are because you choose to be there because of your actions or because of your inactions. For me, 99% of what happens in my life, I am where I am because either I haven't done something to earn the next level, or I've done just enough to earn the level where I am at. What is being lucky? Lucky is simply opportunity meeting preparedness. So you have to be prepared first, and then the opportunity shows up, and then it takes you to the next level. So today I started out with something different came out, but I hope some of this somewhere that the two of us can relate. Again, thank you for everybody that joins. We're looking to a huge 2024. This is something we're going to push this year. Make sure you show up to the next meeting, especially the lending one is going to be really, really fun. The lenders meeting that we have coming up. So having said that, I'd like to wrap up for today. Thanks a bunch, and we will talk to you on Monday. Have a good day, and please refer us to your friends, family. This year, we're going to ask lots of your help to get on the team, because as we start getting the podcasts up and running, as we start getting a lot more social media, a lot more content, hopefully better quality content from our end, we hopefully will make that impact. And if you're not already inspired, we're going to attempt to help you, push you, and cajole you to